Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this HMCTS drop-in session. This is on the Court of Protection and Property and Affairs Deputyship applications. We will be taking questions throughout, and you're going to be hosted by my colleague Jessica Newton and Steph Gillott. So Jess, over to you.
Thank you. So I'll just do a quick recap of where we are and the position of everything at the moment before we do a live demo of the actual application process online. So as Kim noted, I'm Deputy Service Manager of Court of Protection. We've been doing quite a few developments within the Property and Affairs Deputyship application space. Following the successful pilot that involved 208 professional users and 672 applications made, the new upfront notification process for all Property and Affairs Deputyship cases was actually extended with a new PD that came in at the start of the year to make that a business as usual process for all court users. We launched the digital application process for professionals in January, and then it was followed by a new release for litigants in person in February. The digital form and journey includes applicant details now, so that's the idea behind it, is reducing the number of forms that you have to issue. The COP1 obviously doesn't need to be uploaded because you answer those questions within the journey. The new forms that have been introduced to kind of facilitate the change are the new upfront notification and acknowledgement forms, so the COP14 PA DEP and the COP15 PA DEP forms. And we also updated the COP1. So it's just a quick reminder there to make sure you're all using the latest forms. So the benefits of the new process are to reduce the paperwork and touch points for all. So users also have a better idea of what's happening with their application as they have all the responses up front before they make the application. We have had feedback that indicates the increased, the initial engagement has reduced the overall objections made. Which can only be a good thing for everybody involved. And the digital process has improved the accuracy of paperwork and applications actually coming in from both litigants and professionals, making sure that we've got the right forms, so fewer returns. I'm sure everybody's happy that there are now no COP20As and COP20Bs anymore, so the acknowledgement forms needed from the parties and to confirm that you've served the parties aren't needed, just the acknowledgements from them. There's a lot less applications for staff to scan in, so that's freed up members of staff to do higher capacity work, and basically the whole system is allowing non-contested applications for Property and Affairs Deputyship to progress swiftly through the court, with agreed orders made being able to be made on first touch of the file with the ACOs. So it has assisted in reducing disposal times. Disposal times have now reduced over 50% compared to the previous paper process. With digital cases sitting at about 8 weeks currently on average, with the target overall being 16 weeks originally. So we're well within in that currently, and we're still maintaining that with now over 52% uptake in digital applications. So it's good news story so far. 15% of those digital applications are currently citizens, so we do need to kind of improve the split of work there, but we'll keep on promoting where we can. And yeah, up next, the next steps for us really are to improve the journey with the save and return functionality, and the C1A questions being added into the flow at that point, because once we have the save and return, we can extend the questions, so you can return to something with them being quite complex questions. Also, the new deputy applications, we're looking at new the kind of replacement deputy applications being accommodated in the flow too. So those will be the next things that we're developing on from the everything to do with the Property and Affairs Deputyship digital side of things. At this step, I'll hand over to Steph, who's going to do a quick run through of the actual digital flow to show you it in live, and then we'll open up to questions after that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. So what I'll do now is I'll just share my screen and we'll go through the digital form. So as some of you may already have seen the digital form. So this is the landing page for deputies who make decisions for someone who lacks capacity and then apply to be a property and financial affairs deputy. Then if you scroll down to submit the form, the area to submit the form is under submit your forms, and then if you are a legal professional applying for someone else, use the service for legal professionals. Apply for a property and affairs deputyship order. So this takes around 20 to 30 minutes to submit your application, and we do advise that you read this page fully before you make the start on the application, as this will inform you of what forms you need to complete prior to entering the digital form. If you do need anything with any help with anything applying online, then you can email the COP EAPS email address or the telephone number there. We do ask if anybody would like to provide any feedback, whether that be for technical support or just general feedback on the digital form, if you could please email us, as we do consider everything that is sent through. For anybody who's not used the form recently, we have had an additional enhancement, which is again being provided by feedback that's been added to the digital form, which is to give any additional details of an order that you're applying for. Again, this is an optional box and it includes any additional directions you're applying for example, permission to buy property or terminate tenancy. Again, this is an optional box. Are you applying to get help to pay the court fee? The fee for the application is £371, and you may be able to get help to pay the fee if the person who may lack mental capacity has little or no savings and either gets certain benefits or has a low income. Yes, and you will need to upload the help with fees application from COP 44A or no. You should then enter your PBA account number. We will now enter the applicant's full details. So their full name and any middle names should they have one, the address, the UK telephone number, enter a mobile or landline number and do not include any spaces. And an email address. What is the applicant's relationship to the person they are applying to be a deputy for? Does the applicant have a solicitor? So as a legal professional, if you are a solicitor, then you can say yes, and we will send all the court documents to the solicitor. Continue. In here, you should enter the solicitor's full name, the organisation name, the address, an email address. So again, just to reiterate that should all these fields be entered fully, then the documentation will be sent to the solicitor rather than the applicant. Again, if you've not used this digital form recently, there has been another further enhancement, which is the solicitor's reference number. Again, this is an optional field, but following on from feedback, we have added this in. Is there more than one applicant? So this page is for the details of the person who may lack mental capacity. You should enter their full name and any additional names. The date of birth in the format that's detailed on the system, the address, the type of accommodation that P is living in, what date did they move into this accommodation? So you should provide the nearest estimate possible. Is their accommodation permanent or temporary? There is an option to fill in the telephone number and the email address. You should then say their relationship status. And should you wish to, you can give further details about their relationship status. Again, that's an optional field. Previous court of protection proceedings. Should you say yes to this answer, you will enter the case details on the next page, or no. Is the person who may lack mental capacity over 18 years old? You should answer yes or no. If they are under 18 years old, you or your representative must have notified the person who may lack mental capacity's parents or legal guardians using the COP15 PA DEP form. Confirm that the person who may lack mental capacity has been personally notified. So has the person who may lack mental capacity been personally notified? You should answer yes or no. Has the person who may lack mental capacity given their views on their application? Yes, you will enter the details on the next page, or no. In this box, you should tell us the views of the person who may lack mental capacity, and you should give details including any wishes and feelings the person who may lack mental capacity has expressed about the application. Did you personally notify them? You should only select yes to this question if you've personally visited and notified them, or you should say no if another person or agent visited and notified the person who may lack mental capacity. Notification details of the person who may lack mental capacity by another person or agent, and what date was the person who may lack mental capacity notified by the person or the agent, and to note that this must be at least 14 days before you make the application to the court, unless you have all acknowledgement forms returned and they support the application. You should then upload the completed COP14 PA DEP form from the person or agent who personally notified the person who may lack mental capacity. Within the guidance, it does state on how your documents should be added to the system, but also there's a helpful reminder here. Have you notified interested parties using a COP15 PA DEP form? You should have notified at least 3 other people with an interest in the person who may lack capacity's life. For example, the person's relative, social worker or doctor. Should you have more than 3 people, there is provision to add on further people. Again, there is an optional field to add in an email address. You should then add the relationship to the person who may lack mental capacity. And what date would they notified? Does the person who was notified support the application? And do you have their COP15 PA DEP form to upload? If you answer yes, you will upload this on the next page. This is where you should upload the acknowledgement of notification form COP15 PA DEP for person 1. And this should be saved in the same format as the previous document. Have you notified a second person about the application? So again, just continue the same steps as last time. And again, for the third person, follow the steps as previously. Have you notified a fourth person about the application? On this instance, we'll say no, but again, should you have done, there is the provision to do so. People you were not able to notify, was there anyone you were not able to notify who you believe should be aware of the application being made? Again, you should answer yes or no. You should now upload your supporting information from COP1A. Were you able to fully complete the supporting information form from COP1A? Should you not be able to do, the court might consider making an investigative and a report order if this is needed. It could delay a final order being made, but will enable banks, building societies and other professional bodies to release information for use within these proceedings. You should now upload your assessment of capacity form, COP3. Do you have a deputy declaration form, COP4, to upload? Each applicant deputy must file a COP4. If there are multiple applicants, again, you can upload additional COP4s as an additional documents at the end of the journey. Do you have a second deputy's declaration COP4 to upload? Should you have this, you would say yes and upload that, or no. Do you believe your application should be treated as urgent? If yes, a COP9 or COP24 with documentary evidence explaining why the application should be treated as urgent will be required. For example, an invoice confirming care home fees are overdue. Should you say yes, you will upload the evidence on the next page. Do you have an application notice for an interim order form COP9 to upload? Yes or no? Do you have a witness statement form COP24 to upload? And do you have any additional documents to upload? For example, this could be a draft order, any additional statements or information that supports your request for the application to be dealt with urgently, or any additional information that's being required. Statement of truth. You should now complete the statement of truth by ticking the box that you understand that the proceeding for contempt of court. You should then type your signature in the signature box and today's date, albeit that's yesterday's. And then you should select the correct statement that applies to you, and in this case, the legal representative. If you are signing on behalf of an organisation or company, you should give the position or office held. Again, this is an optional box, and you should then enter an email address. The final page of the digital form is to check your answers. Should you wish to go back and change any of your answers, you can click on the change blue hyperlink here. You should read through all the questions underneath and ensuring that everything is correct. And then you should now send your application. And by submitting the application, you will confirm that to the best of your knowledge that the facts stated in this form and attachments are true. Click submit. You will then receive the box that says that the application is complete, and you will receive a reference number and that you've submitted your application and what should happen next. Again, should you need any help or support, you can email the Court of Protection on the COP EAPS email address or the telephone number. Thank you. And what we'll do now is we'll open to any questions.
Thanks, Steph. That was really, really helpful, and there's been loads of questions coming through. So I think we've got some good thoughts coming through on this. So thanks for that. Let's start with a nice, easy one, I hope. Jess, could you just take people that have joined us through the process to get a PBA and what that means, please?
Yeah, so the PBA is payment by account. It's how we expect professional users to pay for their applications online. And I've put the link in the detail in the chat at the moment, but we will share a link on how to join up within the information that we send out after this event, so that you've got that to hand. But essentially, you are given a 10-digit number with PBA at the front to use to enter onto any application that you make to the court. It doesn't have to be just the digital, but any applications that you make into the Court of Protection. Your business or service would sign up, get that unique reference number, and it works as a direct debit almost. We enter that into our systems and can just take payment automatically, because you providing that has given us the approval to take that amount of money from your account. So it's just a speedier way of working. We wouldn't have to contact you for payment, and we don't need to deal with checks or anything like that. It's all done digitally.
Thanks, Jess. Right, so we're going to go into some more specific questions to the process and to the forms. Someone's asked if a social worker is completing the COP14 PA DEP and is the person discussing the application with P, I'm assuming that's the applicant or the person who needs the application done, but P is incapable of completing and returning the form because they don't understand it. Does the social worker just explain that in a COP24?
No, they explain it on the COP14. So there's a section for the person completing the notification to complete that section to say how they responded, how they reacted. It's all the same questions that were included on the COP20s originally. So it's to be used to record that notification process. And there's also that same form for P to respond if they're able. So I know one of the questions we often get is, you know, we're meant to give them 14 days to respond. How do we manage that? Obviously, each person is meant to be served in or notified in the way that's best for them. If you expect them to be able to complete it or need to check that they haven't been able to complete, you know, it could be a matter of going back for a second visit, or you know, if they can complete it then, you would get them to complete it then. If you need to leave a copy and then check in with them to make sure that they don't want to return it themselves, you can do that. Obviously every case is different, but the idea of having all of that information on there is so that the person visiting can also complete that form. If you know that people is not going to be able to, you can, and you also need to record all of the, you know, minute responses they might give, you know, just how they reacted basically as part of that notification. The only time the court doesn't need the COP14 is if the person is completing the online digital journey and that same person did the notification themselves, because they can answer those same questions that are recorded on that form within the online journey. But otherwise the COP14 is always needed and should be completed to confirm how you've notified P.
Lovely, thanks, Jess. Now this lovely person has written, they've submitted a P and FA application at the end of March and they notified the parties in advance, but they've received a request from the court to notify parties now that the application has been issued and to send in a COP20 A and B. Now they've said the application was using the new forms but sent in paper rather than online. So what they're saying is, why do they need to notify parties again? And really, have they missed anything that they should have done?
No, I'd be interested to know the details on this case. I think it's one we'll have to deal with separately, maybe if you contact the court on email, because if you've used the new forms and you file the new forms, there shouldn't be any problem because you should approve that notification already. It's just making sure that you did file those, you know, all the forms that you were meant to. So yeah, you shouldn't get a second need to notify unless the court doesn't know that you have notified.
Thanks, Jess. Back to a sort of more systems-based query. Someone would like to know if you can save an application as you go if you don't have the answer to each question. So basically, can you save and return?
Not at the moment, however, that functionality is coming. Yeah, not at the moment. You can't save and return the application as you go, so you need all the answers to the questions before you start, which is why we've detailed quite a lot of information on that front start page to make sure that no one starts without being able to finish it. But yeah, the save and return option, we know it's inconvenient at the moment, so we are working towards that, and it should be available later this year.
Thanks, Jess. So another question we've had is, if notifying 3 people, if a social worker is completing the process because the local authority is the applicant, are they precluded from being notified, or can they still be notified as with any other application? If that makes sense.
Because the is applicant, I would still notify them, and we've got you can notify up to, I think we've included 6 people on the digital process, so you can record that within the digital flow. It's not limited to 3, it's obviously just 3 is a minimum really.
Thanks, Jess. Someone else has asked, how urgent must an application be to be considered urgent by the court? What's that kind of criteria, please?
I think it's really the impact on a user. I don't know if there's any defined urgent profiling. I don't know if Marla, you might be able to advise if you have any prescribed information on that, but it's really if it's going to impact someone being evicted or you know, something altering for them that they really need to have a case heard urgently. So if it would have to be heard outside of the usual timescale of an application, really.
Marla, did you want to come in on that, or are we happy to move on?
Sorry, I'll come in on that. So there isn't really any prescribed criteria. It's really entirely up to the applicant. If they think the application is urgent, then by all means, you mention that it will go straight to an ACO, and they will determine based on what the applicant is wanting.
I think you have to file a COP9, don't you, just to explain the urgency. So there is kind of that requirement there, but otherwise, yeah.
Okay. I'm aware of time, so we're going to overrun by maybe 10, no more than 15 minutes if people are happy to stay on the call, just to plough through these questions. We've got quite a good variety going. So we have another question, which is that if P has no family, who could be notified as well as the social worker and GP to make up that minimum of 3?
I think it's anybody involved in their life, so someone that would know about the goings on. You know, we've had neighbours before, any visitors that they have. Yeah, it's anybody else who might have you know, an idea of what's happening in that person's life, and to be able to advise to help what might be best for them.
Okay. A person...
There is, sorry to carry on, there is I think there is a bit of a list on the guidance pages that kind of prescribes a bit further, and in the practice direction maybe I think there might be a bit more detail on who else might be appropriate to with notifications.
Okay. Someone else has asked, as a local authority team member, where do they put the details of the legal representatives?
So of the legal representative, so if you're applying as a local authority, if you're the applicant, and you can then put in the legal representatives as a solicitor acting, is that what you mean? I hope it is. So you could, that's why we left the represented section on the professionals journey, just so that there was that type of thing accommodated for.
Brilliant. Hopefully a good one for you. When making a separate but related application to the Court of Protection on paper, so for example, a replacement of P as a property trustee, that kind of thing, where should that be noted on the online form?
At the moment, I would potentially add it in that free text box at the start, so the details of the application that you're making to the court, and then the court will be aware of that other application you're making. I know we've said before that really you'd need to treat, if you are making kind of combined ones, you know, if there's health and welfare, we need to treat them separately at the moment if you are applying for the Property and Affairs Deputyship, and it'll be treated because these are dealt with a lot more swiftly than the other applications.
Okay.
Unless it's an urgent one, in which case we can link it up. But yeah, just pop it in the free text box and then we know the scenario.
Okay. Crystal has asked if they are going to be able to upload COP5 forms.
You can add it as any other documents at the moment. So if you do get an objection or you have an objection, you can upload it in that section.
Okay. Laura has asked if there are plans to have any kind of dashboard that allows service users to check the progress of applications.
Not currently at the moment. Obviously, we're not a reform service, so this is a very kind of minimal product in that we can enable that submission of applications digitally, and we can also deal with them digitally internally, but it's not a platform that can be opened up to external users, and at the moment we don't have the plans in place to be able to do that. But I appreciate, you know, it is useful, but however, with the speed of applications that are going through at the moment, hopefully that's not as much of a need as it has been.
Thanks, Jess. We've had a couple of people ask if the session's being recorded, so just a reminder that it is, and after the session we will drop an email around to everybody with links to the video, to any relevant guidance, just so that you've got everything in the one place. Someone has asked if an application for a replacement deputy needs to be done on a paper form.
At the moment, as I said, the replacement deputy is something that we are looking to make a digital flow, you know, in the coming months. So we realise that is a need there. Currently, I think the request is that you email it into First on Your House, because obviously if the application has already been a digital case, it's best to keep it digital. So we'd want to link those two applications up. So it has to be on paper if it's been a paper, but yeah, until we launch that digital. But if you've got a digital case that you're now wanting to replace a deputy on, please do email it in, and we'll create a digital case to match up.
Lovely. Really interesting question from somebody. Can the notification to the service user take place virtually?
To the other people notified, yes, not to P. So P has to be notified in person, but the other persons notified, that can be done via email.
Okay. I'm not sure if this is linked, but someone has said, is a COP15 a mandatory form, or can you inform over the phone?
It'll be a mandatory form, I think. I don't know if Joan wants to jump in on policy, but I think it has to be, I think the practice direction might specify that you have to use the COP15 as the notification. So I don't think it can be done verbally. It'll need to be on that paperwork.
You do have to use the COP15.
Yeah, so you do have to use the COP15. That's from policy.
Brilliant. Just conscious of time, I've got a slightly complex question here, but let's see how you get on. This person has written that they've been allocated someone who is in a care home, and she has a will with a solicitor's firm, and I won't say the name just to protect that person. This person has found out that the person who she's been allocated has put her late husband and daughter as LPA holders. She lacks capacity to manage her finances, and she's estranged from her daughter and no longer wants the daughter to be an LPA. Solicitors can't help with this one because of distance, and the questioner is asking if this is something that this service supports with, and if not, where should she go?
I think it'd be a matter of putting that detail in an email to us, and we'll see what, you know, what the usual process would be. Or it's not, you know, we don't obviously give people legal advice, or we can't help directly like that, but we can point towards, you know, the citizen advice and things if they need that. But we can advise if there's a process, you know, if they're wanting to apply for a specific thing. I know the cost protection obviously deals with all of those LPAs and EPAs as well. So yeah, I think the best advice I can give is to email us, and we'll see what we can do with the information you provide.
Brilliant. I think we're going to take this as our last question now, just mindful of time, and really grateful to everybody for staying on with us, and hopefully it's been useful. This person has asked, if you notify someone but don't have a response, should you upload the COP15 PA DEP form or not upload anything at all?
No, if you've notified them and you've had no response, you can confirm that lack of response online, and yeah, you don't need to file that. Speaking on the digital floor. So on the digital floor, it'll ask you, have you had a response, or what was the response? Do they agree, disagree, or I've had no response? And you can say I've had no response, and then you can confirm that you're not uploading it. You can confirm that you don't have a COP15 to upload because they haven't returned it to you.
Brilliant. So I think we've kind of reached the end of and answered the vast majority of questions. Do apologise to anybody who hasn't had the question answered. If you haven't, and it is a really important to us that we do help you. After this event, there will be an email sent out to all attendees, and in that email will include an address that you can write to us on for clarification on anything that's been covered, etc. But otherwise, it's been really good to see so many people join us, and we hope you found this useful. And I think we will close there.
Thank you, everybody.